Welcome, ghosts and ghouls, back to October Top 5. I'm Walter Benaziac.
I'm Heather Roos.
And I'm Anna Wade.
Even the most iconic of series are bound to go through their rough patches.
This can be especially true when dealing with the supernatural on a television budget.
Monsters of the Week can turn into nightmares, whether the plot is too boring, out there, or just a bit dated.
I'm glad that you're back to normal here, Ayana. No crazy conspiracy walls or Walter 2.0 dressed in costumes.
Oh, yeah, maybe just don't go in the makeup room then.
Why? What will I find if I go in there?
Nothing. It's just that all of the walls are covered in research.
Just tell me that stupid dummy still isn't in there.
I needed a partner, okay? Do you have any idea what it's like watching all of those episodes?
Yes, we do. It's a part of our jobs.
Oh, right. Well, these are the top 5 worst X-Files episodes.
Number 5. Badla.
Hey, Anna, what would you do for X-Files?
Oh, anything.
Oh yeah? Even overlook the infamous Butt Genie episode?
Well, I would do anything for X-Files, but I won't do that.
An Indian beggar hitches a ride to America through a man's anus and wreaks havoc. And not just on the guy's butthole. Seriously, that's the plot. This beggar is a fakir with the ability to cast illusions like appearing as other individuals or being in a place when he's actually somewhere else. The beggar turns into a janitor and witnesses a young boy that gets bullied. He then decides to kill that kid's dad. When Scully performs the autopsy, the man climbs out of the dad's body and crawls away. This is also a dogged episode, so Scully tries seeing this case how Mulder would have the whole time. This leads to her making some wildly out-of-character theories. I really tried to take this episode seriously. The squeaking of the cart is ominous, at least. But the xenophobia aside, what even was the motive here? The killings aren't random enough to be spree killings, and if this is supposedly revenge for being a beggar, the people he targets are the good guys, like a dad stopping a bully, or a mom trying to save her drowning son. The gross-out horror is far from boring, but not enough to carry an entire episode. This episode didn't make sense.
No. It did. In some way, it did.
No, it didn't, Scully.
Number 4. Babylon. Haven't you always wanted to see a cowboy Mulder on a drug trip? No? Well, too bad. When suicide bombers attack an art gallery, agents Miller and Einstein must find a way to communicate with the comatose terrorist. They enlist the help of Scully and Mulder to try and stop the terrorist cell's next attack. Agent Miller is a young man who believes in conspiracies, while Agent Einstein is a red-headed medical doctor who has a healthy dose of skepticism, and you see where I'm going with this, right? Yeah, they really push this younger Scully and Mulder narrative ad nauseum. Mulder ends up joining forces with Einstein behind Scully's back to follow a whim, while Scully traces a lead with Miller. This splits up the main duo for most of the episode and replaces them with their younger counterparts. Mulder takes mushrooms under the medical supervision of Einstein and has this insane premonitory hallucination.
Right left, hustlers shooting 8 ball, throwing darts at the wall.
Say it.
We later learn that Einstein had given Mulder a placebo, but can't explain how Mulder had a vision telling him the actual location of the other bombers. This could have been an opportunity to look past race. I was half hoping they would prove the brothers at the beginning were actually innocent and they were being racially profiled, but the story stayed two-dimensional by relying on stereotypes and leaning heavily on coincidences. This was an episode meant to parallel Scully and Mulder's first meeting and show how far they've come. What it accomplished was showing the newer seasons were just as guilty as the old ones at cliched and lazy writing.
Number 3. Fight Club. What would you do if you knew there was a perfect copy of yourself out there in the world following your every move?
What, Heather, that literally happened to us. Do you not remember the duplicates or the Dino Rob dimension?
Yeah, don't you have a twin sister too?
Well, excuse me. I was just trying to create a mood. This episode is about Betty Templeton and Lulu Pfeiffer, doppelgangers that cause people to explode in anger. These women keep moving to avoid each other, but are drawn to the same places and activities. They are also in love with the same man, Bert Zupanik, a wrestler trying to have his last hurrah. This episode guest stars Kathy Griffin as both Betty and Lulu. All of the acting in this episode is turned up to a weird level, and Griffin is hardly the only offender.
You know what they say? Everyone has a twin out there somewhere.
No, we don't know what they say.
Betty and Lulu are grating and don't have much drive, besides trying to avoid the other one. Their powers are also inconsistent. Sometimes people fight when they're in the same room. Sometimes it's in the same town. And Mulder gets sucked into the sewer at one point for some reason. They even destroy the same bar twice, like a day apart, and this is never explained. There was definitely room to make a joke there, but no. The soundtrack is incredibly distracting throughout the episode as well.
I'm no father! A Yankee Doodle into a plastic cup! Well, shut up, you fat ox!
When we find out Zupanik has a twin as well, everyone stops fighting, so I was excited to see the opposite of the women, like peace doppelgangers, and Betty and Lulu could live happily with the man they were both drawn to, but nope. They cause even more mayhem, so I don't even know why people stopped fighting. There isn't even an end. The sets of doubles are just left out in the world to hopefully not cause accidents anymore. I enjoy the concept of having two people causing bad things to happen when in close proximity, especially in the wrestling match scenario, but the execution left plenty to be desired.
Number 2. Space. Hey, want to see the face of Mars possess an astronaut and mess with stuff? No, really. A sabotaged shuttle launch brings Scully and Mulder to investigate an inside source at NASA. Unfortunately, the commanding officer is hiding something from the crew. He's possessed by an alien ghost? Supposedly, it would have been living inside Colonel Belt for years after hitching a ride back from his last Gemini flight. Colonel Belt seems to want the shuttle launch to work, but it's unclear what exactly this space spirit wants. A malfunctioning engine part would mean the crew wouldn't arrive home safely if more ghosties wanted to come to Earth. Are there more? Did the one just want to go back home? Then why didn't it go onto the shuttle? And if it wanted to kill the humans in space, that's like single digits. Why strand them in space and not kill them on Earth? Why bother? Oh, and Scully just watches a being come out of a person and remains a skeptic. There are plenty of other gaping plot holes throughout for a script that is convoluted and boring. The forced suspense doesn't work, as the ghost is silly rather than menacing, and the special effects were not good, even for when it first aired. Using stock footage from NASA was supposed to make this episode be low budget, but it ended up being the first season's most expensive episode to make. As it is in the first season, when most shows are still finding their footing, we can't quite award it as the worst. And the number 1 worst X-Files episode is Peso de Bichos. Disliked by cast, crew, and viewers alike, this episode really did its best to never come to light. At the excavation of a South American burial urn, native workers disagreed with the removal of this religious artifact. The cavalier archaeologist is then killed by a jaguar spirit. When the urn is brought to the Boston Museum of Natural History, more deaths occur, but people think it's due to extreme protesters. There's a red herring with the assistant archaeologist Dr. Balak being the killer under the influence of a hallucinogen. We're also led to believe it's a jaguar spirit responsible for the death, but also street cats? The hokey cursed remains trope is tired, and the monster of the week is hilariously bad. The production of this episode was fraught with complications. It went through constant rewrites, and they had some trouble with their animal actors. When placed on set, the crew tried to get the cats to look menacing on camera, but they could only look cute and sweet. The cats also wouldn't attack on command or even move when asked. The trainers tried spraying them with water and even chasing them with dogs. To make matters worse, Gillian Anderson is allergic to cats, so they had to build a cat puppet to attack her with, but even that they had a hard time making look serious. Perhaps my favorite bit of trivia is that the episode title translates to Animal Burial Mound, but Bichos has an alternate translation, testicles. An apt title either way. We want to hear what you guys think. What's your least favorite X-Files episode?
What do you want to see us cover next on the show? Leave a comment and let us know.
To keep in touch, you could like my Facebook page or follow along on Twitter.
And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or subscribe to my animated movie review series right here on YouTube.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch where I stream on Wednesday nights.
We'll catch you back here next week with a special Simpsons Halloween countdown.